Welcome to the Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Secretly, everything you experience in your life is actually abundance. Once you understand how to activate abundance, you find yourself in flow with your business and clients, so it's easy to create the revenue you want. The Abundance Journey is the only show that activates abundance for you, so you enjoy rapid results in your business. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
Hey, it's Elaine Starling, and I am so thrilled to have you join me today. You know, I bring just the best people to chat with us, right? Well, Martin Salama is known as the architect of the Warriors L.I.F.E code. He specializes in helping people who are frustrated in their life quickly shift their mindset to uncover their own greatness so they can live their true potential and enjoy their life. What a concept. You're supposed to love your life. Well, an example of something that Martin has been able to achieve, he had a client like Roberta who lost her six-figure job due to COVID. She came to Martin really depressed. She felt totally lost, completely turned around. But within a really short time, she had a quote, direction, focus, and renewed energy around all the possibilities she could pursue and getting back on track to enjoy life. That simple message was that anchor, that focal point that Roberta needed to completely shift things for her. I love that Martin is so dedicated to helping us all live our best lives. Martin, welcome to the Abundance Journey.
Thank you so much, Elaine. I am so honored to be here with you.
Oh, I love hanging out with you. It's always
We've been friends for almost a year now, and I love everything about you. When I saw your TEDx, I loved it so much. I shared it with my audience because it was such a beautiful message.
I really appreciate that. That is awesome. Well, obviously, what you're doing is truly transformational for people. Why are you so passionate about helping people uncover their own greatness?
Well, as you said, I'm known as the architect of the Warriors L.I.F.E code, and the word life is what it's all about. It's live incredibly full every day. Okay? So I'm so passionate about it because for so many years, I had lived in a different type of a mindset. I lived in that mindset of being a people pleaser, which came from a tragedy when I was a child. And it carried on for the next 40 years. And with that people pleaser mentality came things of I took things personally. I had a short temper. I was a control freak. And as with most people pleasers, I needed the recognition for all the things I was doing. I wanted somebody to pat me on the back and say, "You're great. You're the best. You deserve to be the king of the world." And when I didn't get it, I was depressed. I was down. I was like, I did everything I was supposed to do. Why isn't everybody loving me? You know?
Yeah.
So I finally, after many things going through many ups and downs in my life, I got to a point where I was at a low point. 2008, I lost everything financially. A year plus later, my wife asked for a divorce on our 24th wedding anniversary. You can imagine, I was like, what was going through my head is, why is everything happening to me? But I'd already just made a decision right before that I wanted to do something different in my life. And I noticed that I was a life coach that wasn't getting paid to be a life coach, because what I was doing was I was involved in community events and I was a leader. And as a leader, people come in saying, "I don't know what I can do." I said, "Just give me a little time. I'll show you what you can do." And you pull out their potential and you show them how great they can be. I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. And then my wife hit me with the divorce and I was like, now what? I decided I'm going anyway. And they gave me a bunch of books to read. And one of them, and they said, read a couple of them. And I read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Love that book.
And when I read number 2, Don't Take Anything Personally, I was like, what? You mean I don't have to have the world on my shoulders? When someone calls me an idiot, it's not about me. It might be about them. I don't have to accept what everybody's saying about me. And I learned a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yeah.
So I wanted to internalize all that stuff. as I was going through my divorce, as I was going through life coaching. And I think God had a sense of humor. He put me through life coaching while I was going through divorce.
Well, that was perfect timing because that's when you really needed the support. That's brilliant.
Exactly.
I
So
love
he and I
that.
laughed together.
Right, right. So ironic. Wow. What an incredible experience. And obviously now you're helping hundreds of people every year, thousands of people transition into a completely different kind of experience about life.
Right.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's become my life work to touch as many people as possible, understand that they have the power within.
Oh, that's so important. That is so important. And we're so aligned in all these different ways, Martin, but we're talking about the abundance journey here. And so
Right.
we always have to take some time to define what does abundance really mean to you, especially given the work that you do and the kind of abundance you create with your clients.
Right. Elaine, since I know you a little bit, I know that you're a religious person, that you have a spiritual part to you, a great spiritual part to you. And it's my religion as an Orthodox Jew that comes into play here. So there's a story in the Bible, and it talks about two brothers, Jacob and Esau, as we say it in Hebrew. And, they fought for most of their lives to the point that Jacob even tricked his father to giving him the blessings that he thought he was supposed to have. And after that, Esau said, I'm going to kill this guy. And he ran away for 20 years, went to what ended up being his father-in-law's house of Lot, met his four wives, had 11 children, and became very successful through many trials and tribulations with Lot. But then one day, God told him it's time to go home. So he decided to go home, but there was a part of him that was afraid about what was going to happen, because he knew that his brother he thought that his brother still wanted to kill him. So as he's going, he finds out that his brother's on his way to meet him with 400 men. Right. So the night before, he takes his family over this river and he goes back to get some little jars. And while he's there, an angel comes down and has a fight with him. And at the end of the fight, they're fighting for hours. It's just a man. We don't know that it's an angel. They call him a man in the Torah. He says, as they're finishing, he goes, they realize the fight's just never going to end. So he says to him, he's giving up, the angel, and he says, well, give me a blessing. Before he does, he injures him in his leg. And he gives him a blessing, and he gives him the name Israel. That's when he gets the name Israel. And I look at that now as I realize he was having an internal struggle with himself about meeting his brother. And he needed to fight with the demons within about what he had done and make peace with it. And by giving him the name Israel, it made that he was going to be the father of the nation. Right? So the next day, he starts sending camps of people, his first, one of his concubine wives with their children, with gifts to Esau, saying, here's gifts for you. And then the other one. And then kept on sending these things. And finally, he comes up to him. And Esau is like worn down by now. He comes and he gives him a big hug. Right? And he says, wow, I'm so excited to see you. It's been 20 years. I love you. Thank you for all these gifts. I have so much. I have a lot. And Jacob says to him, it's okay. I have everything. And right there is the difference.
Yeah.
Esau saying, I have a lot, means I'm taking everything you got me, give me, and I want as much more. And Jacob says, I have everything I need, and if I need more, God will provide. So to me, that's where the difference in lack and abundance is. Do you have a lot, or do you have everything?
Oh, that's so profound, Martin. That is so profound, because it is truly within. All of the riches that we seek are already inside us. And, it's really funny. I have this conversation with my clients all the time. Do you really think that the divine, that God is showing you a beautiful house and a beautiful car and a wonderful relationship and all this stuff and going, neither, you can't have it. No, that is not the whole point. The whole point, have you ever seen young parents who have a pre-verbal baby? Have you seen the way they react? Honey, do you want your bottle? Do you want your toy? Do you want, what do you want, honey? I'm here to help you out. What do you want? Right? So when you can own, this is who I want to be, right? That's what God is asking you. Who do you truly want to be? And how do you want to show up in the world? And what kind of a difference do you want to make in the world? That is the ultimate abundance. And you create it in concert with, in partnership with with the divine.
100%.
Yeah, God, I love where you're going with this.
It's so funny how you talked about a baby, because a couple of weeks ago I was having a conversation with my daughter about her 1-year-old who couldn't speak, but he wanted something and he wanted to watch something on TV and she couldn't find it. Finally, he grabs the remote from her and starts changing the channels on his own.
They start early these days. They really do. It's really funny. My nephew took a long time to learn how to speak, and instead he could snap his fingers. Right. And he was just like, yep.
For me, my mother said I didn't start talking till 3 and I haven't stopped since.
There we go. Well, it's really interesting, Martin, because we all struggle with this. And what I find that's such a challenge for all of us is that something has to change internally. Our external world is always a reflection of what's happening inside. So with all of the experience that you've had and the personal shifts that you've experienced also, what do you think really has to change inside us before we are ready to welcome in that kind of all-encompassing abundance and be the abundance we are?
I love that you asked that question. And as I'm thinking about the answer, it makes me think of something that for many years I didn't understand the word. And the word is surrender to God, right? To me, growing up, the word surrender means, okay, you're under arrest, surrender.
Right.
Or you're in a fight with it's a battle, and one country has to surrender to the other country.
It's an I give up, right? A lot of people think that's the definition, and words are really powerful.
Yeah.
They really are. Yeah.
But now I understand the word to surrender is give it to God.
Yes.
Give it to God. And if you're not sure, the answer will come to you. And it's about also understanding how the answer comes to you. You have to be ready to accept the opportunities and don't take them as a coincidence.
That is so true. That is so true. It's funny because the analogy that comes to me is that you're running a 3-legged race. Do you remember being a little kid and you're partnered up with another kid and 2 of your legs are tied together, and then you have to try to run for the finish line, right? And you've got to coordinate your legs, but you're not used to running with somebody else right up against you, and you trip each other and you fall down, and it's a lot of fun. Well, you are running a 3-legged race with the divine, with God.
Oh my God, I love it.
And when you try to do everything and be in charge, because the human mind loves order and structure and logic and rationale and steps and control. Control is a biggie. Definitely. We want to stay in control. And so when we have that kind of perspective, it's like we're trying to drag the divine behind us as we run this 3-legged race. And that's a heck of a lot of work. And no wonder it's so frustrating and overwhelming. So when we learn how to partner with the divine and collaborate with the divine, because the divine wants you to be successful. The divine wants you to really enjoy your life and love your life. And so, when you start doing that, you take a big leap and the divine scoops you up and takes you all the way across the continent.
Right? Exactly. And if you use that 3-legged race as an idea, when you're starting the race, one of you has to surrender to the other and say, yes, let's decide who's in charge and let's decide which leg is going to be the charge. So it's the same thing with God. And you go, I am already deciding you're in charge. So I'll follow and our legs will be tied together. And then I'll use my other leg to continue moving forward.
Absolutely. And the thing that's so powerful about that, I know you've experienced this too, Martin. You know, you have a destination in mind. You've got that deadline, right? That finish line that you're trying to hit. And the divine has a much bigger plan for you than anything you could ever imagine. So
Right.
when you go the course and you are taking action towards that finish line with the understanding and the delight that it might not look like a straight line because the divine is setting you up for something much, much bigger than what you
Yes.
originally thought of.
100%. I agree with
Yeah.
you. It's so true because it's so ingrained in me that it's ingrained in my coaching program as well. So I love it.
Yeah. So one of the challenges that I think we all deal with is we would love to have the magic answer yesterday. It doesn't work that way, does it? It's never worked that way for me. There's always these little baby steps that
Yep.
happen that allow us to understand that we're making progress. So,
Yes.
what are some baby steps that you would have us do that can help us really own our own greatness and step into the abundance that we are?
Okay. So I'm so glad you asked. I've just recently come up with a card deck, and it's called the Warrior to Warrior card deck. For if you're listening out there, Warrior with an O to Warrior with an A, just in case my Brooklyn accent screws that up. And in there is a set of cards that addresses exactly what you're talking about, and it actually feeds into what we were just talking about. And I call it the cycle of A's. Okay? But I got to put my glasses on. And I want you to first you see there's a cycle on the back.
Yes, I do.
So I'm going to read this. The cycle of A's. Each step in the cycle feeds into and reinforces the next step. Okay? Tip. Practice being at peace with everything that happens. This doesn't mean sit on the couch and let life happen as it happens. It means letting go of thinking of the things that happen are good or bad. Instead, understand that everything is happening for a reason and moving you forward toward where you desire to go. Okay? So that's card number one. There's only 3 cards. So the next card is ask. A, 3 A's. Ask for what you want. Ask the universe, God, or your higher power for what you want. This is where the concept of the law of attraction comes into play. Its definition is I attract to my life whatever I give my energy, focus, and attention to, whether wanted or unwanted. Even if you've never heard or may not fully understand the law of attraction, you're still living by its laws. It's a universal law that operates in our lives every minute of every day. Then comes act. Take action. That's the next A. Take action to move in the direction of what you want. Start doing things to move forward what you're asking for, towards what you're asking for. Get out of your comfort zone so you're moving in the direction of your goal. In this sense, this is the basic sense of the law of attraction. This is where the foundation is of asking for what you want is not enough.
Yeah.
Being actively creating instead of passively manifesting. Manifestation means expecting something to happen just because you asked without any effort on your part.
Yeah.
This creates a situation where you lose faith and give up when things don't happen, blaming it on the fact that the law of attraction doesn't work. Instead, act to create the life you want. And then the third card is probably the most important. It's called attitude. Attitude is the most difficult step of the cycle. It's hardwired into your nature to have emotion about any outcome. The more emotion and attention you put to the outcome, the more lack you display. The more lack displayed, the more what you want will elude you, creating a vicious cycle, keeping you from the future you are wanting to create. By not getting emotionally attached, you'll see the good that results from the bad things that happened. It's the universe giving you the necessary course correction to your goal. Anything good or bad that happens is magic that you manifest and, more importantly, create in your life, both good and bad. Your attitude and mindset towards what you want determine the outcome.
Oh, wow. I love that. Ask, act, and your attitude. I am definitely going to get a deck of your cards, Martin, because that's really profound. And I love Oracle cards. I love being able to pull cards. And it just is a great reminder, a refresher of how are you showing up?
Right.
And how are you responding to what's showing up? Because one of the things that I've been guided to is there's three key messages. Whatever happens, whether you normally would label it good or bad, there's three things that happen. First of all, you're being invited to practice what you know. And we all know what we should be doing, right? We all know how to show up as our higher selves. And there are times when we don't really wanna, but we are given lots of opportunities to practice. Number one is practice. Number two is perspective. Because sometimes we have an opportunity to get a perspective shift. And instead of looking at that problem person in the same old way, and instead we see the potential within them,
right?
It opens us up to so much more possibility, right? So we're being invited to practice, get a new perspective, and focus on our progress. That's the third thing that we're given is progress, because you aren't supposed to get so wrapped around the axle, but I don't have my New York Times best-selling book yet, so I'm a failure. No, honey, you've been working on the outline. You've lined up an editor. You look at the baby steps that you're following that make all the difference. You want to celebrate your progress.
Right.
So, God, I love chatting with you, Martin.
And by the way, you can say, I don't have my New York Times bestseller if you haven't written a word.
Right.
Where's the action? Where's the action?
Exactly. So I love where you're coming from, because you approach abundance similarly to me, but in a totally different way with different words. And words have so much incredible power.
Yeah. And the words you use affect other people.
Absolutely.
Affect me. We don't know who's going to take what I'm saying and saying, oh, I like what he's saying. In the meantime, Elaine's been saying it to me for years and I'm not getting it. But now that he said it, I get it vice versa.
Right. It's so interesting. When I came out of my stroke and I really wanted that connection with the divine again, that intense connection, and everything I read said, you just have to allow it. You just have to open up and allow it. And I was allowing my little heart out. And I'd get occasional, downloads and stuff, which was great. But it wasn't that all-encompassing Niagara Falls downloads of nonstop. And that's what I wanted. And so when I finally stopped and said, why isn't this allowing thing working for me? I immediately got the message, what's the image that comes to mind when you think of the word allow? And no two people have the same reaction to the same words. So your reaction might be different from mine, but I immediately saw myself behind a door with a chain on the door, and I'm peeking out the door at the divine, and I'm scared to death because I can't control the divine. And I don't know what's coming. And I'm like, oh, that means allow is a mind-based word for me. It's a very human-oriented word for me. I need a word that's much more heart-centered, because I know I can connect with the divine at a much deeper level if I come from my heart instead of from my mind. So I had to think about it. And I finally realized that my word that really illustrates the kind of relationship that I want to have with the divine is welcoming. I welcome the divine. I welcome abundance. I welcome awesome conversations with fabulous people like Martin. I welcome it because I don't need to control it. And as soon as I started welcoming, I took the door off the hinges and chucked that door. It just doesn't need to be in my life anymore. So words have incredible power, and words have totally different meaning to the people you're speaking with. So you have to be sensitive to that too, that they'll interpret it differently, and that's okay.
And when you were going through that process, the word that came to me for allow is accept.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is so much more than allow.
Absolutely. You're being given a gift.
Yeah.
And only you can choose to accept the gift.
Right. And many people have that difficult of receiving.
Yes.
They don't know how to receive.
Yeah.
So it's just about, and I was like that for a while, And it's about saying thank you without having anything extra to it. Just, No, like, no, I don't really do that. As soon as you say that, you've gone out of acceptance and you've gone back down that lack rabbit hole.
You bring up such a good point, Martin, because gratitude is the doorway you step through to experience everything else you want in your life. Being in gratitude and continually staying in gratitude puts you in that space of flow and
Yes.
ease and grace, and you get to receive everything you want. So, really, that question, what could I be grateful for right now? What could I practice right now? What kind of perspective could I have right now? What kind of progress am I making right now in this moment? And feel that sense of gratitude, that welling gratitude. You know, that's so powerful. And I think the other thing that makes all the difference is that willingness to be in the unknown, right? It's that golden buzzer moment, seconds before the golden buzzer goes off. And you've seen those people on America's Got Talent, right? And they just performed, and there's the judges, and they're looking around and they're kind of confused and they don't know what's going to happen. And they're not sure if they're going to get buzzed off the stage or is this going to be something good, you know? And they're just like, huh?
Yeah.
And so we often find ourselves in this space. And that's actually a really good space to be in. Because it's kind of like you just toss the ball to the divine. You're like, okay, it's yours now. It's the whole thing you were just talking about surrender.
Surrender. Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, the gratitude thing is the foundation to everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wake up every morning, and I tell this to my clients all the time: go out and buy a good notebook, like a moleskin, something that's not just like one of these crazy things that you can easily care. You don't care if you lose, whatever. And write down 3 things you're grateful for. Could be anything. And then for me, I pray. I put on tefillin. I do the whole 9 yards. And when I'm wrapping it around my finger, the Hebrew words there are connecting me to God, because he's betrothing himself to me in those Hebrew words. All right. And then I say my mantra: I live incredibly full every day. Now I'm set. I'm set for the day. To whatever's going to come, I'm open to it with gratitude and acceptance, as we talked about, and opportunity.
Oh, that is so beautiful, Barton. I love that. What a fabulous way to start your day. And the beautiful thing is, it gets your attention on all the things that are lining up to support you with that, right?
Yeah.
And you just tend to notice more things that are working for you because you set that intention at the beginning of your day. That is brilliant. That's really
and
great.
You know, earlier I talked about when I was going through the divorce and through the losing all the thing. I talked, why does everything happen to me? Now I understand it. Things are happening through me. And that's the message everybody should think about. Are you letting things happen through you?
So true. So true. Wow. Martin, we could have this conversation for many, many hours, but I know I need to be respectful of your time. And you also, we were chatting a little bit before we started about your free gift. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So what I've done is I'm giving you the opportunity to get the cycle of A's on a sheet of paper so that you could work with it. Okay. And I made it very simple. I've come up with a website. It's called connectwithmartin.com. You could buy the cards there. You could buy my book there, but you could also get free gifts like the Cycle of A's. Or if you have a little bit of a childhood in you, you know, a little bit of that young feeling, you could download a coloring book on the 7. It's also for kids. I have it for both. 7 tips you must teach your children about having an abundant warrior mindset. And the warrior are the 7 steps.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. And truly, the warrior that you are fighting within it's the human side of you fighting with the higher self within, with your soul. And so I love everything that you're doing. That is absolutely brilliant. And I can't wait to download 3 A's. I'm definitely going to have that front and center. And I want that deck because I'm going to be pulling from that deck every single day. Well, we always turn the tables on our guests here at the Abundance Journey because we know when we give is when we receive the most. So,
Okay.
Martin, what can we do to support you?
Oh, thank you so much. I would say, well, you could go to connectwithmartin.com. You can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. As a matter of fact, here's a great one. I just started a couple of months ago a YouTube channel, and I cook and coach at the same time.
I love that. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to check out your YouTube channel.
Just go to YouTube and put in my name, Martin Salama, and that's what I would love. If all of your audience subscribed and made comments about what they like and what they don't like about what I'm cooking and what I'm saying.
Awesome. What a brilliant concept. Because you know what? We all have to eat, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great way to
And the cooking came as a result of my divorce because I moved an hour away and my kids were coming for me for every other weekend for Shabbat. And they didn't want to always go to my mother or my sisters for Shabbat dinner. They're like, Dad, we don't want to go. I was like, okay, if you put up with me learning how to cook, it became I love it. I got married again 5 years ago to a wonderful woman who cooks, is very good, doesn't like it, and is working corporate. So I'm the cook in the family.
I love that. It's all about collaborating, bringing your strengths to the table and seeing how you can really celebrate life together.
Yep.
What a huge concept. Martin, I cannot thank you enough for your time today. It's always a delight, always a pleasure chatting with you. And you've left me with a huge conundrum because everything you said was so brilliant. And now I have to pick just one thing to activate abundance around. Make my life difficult. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're awesome. Martin, thank you so much. Everybody else, stick around because we are about to activate abundance. So, are you ready to activate abundance in every single area of your life? Well, you can get in flow with your business and your clients. It's as easy as you can imagine to create the kind of revenue you really want in your business. You can join me for the Abundance Journey 6-week training and coaching program that help you turn your problems into prosperity. Just visit theabundancejourney.com to sign up for our next adventure. Wow, Martin, as usual, brought so much today to that conversation. What an incredibly generous soul and such a beautiful person. I love the way he looks at life and how he celebrates life. And, you know, there were so many things Martin said, but I'm going to pick out one that really, really spoke to me. So the first step with activating abundance is always gratitude. We always start with gratitude. And you can feel that heart connection to Martin, can't you? I mean, he's such a genuine, authentic, real, roll your sleeves up, get going kind of guy, and very practical in terms of how he helps people experience abundance. It's part of what I love about Martin. I love being connected to his energy, and I love listening to him because he's always got great insights. I can't wait to watch his cooking videos. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so gratitude is step one. Step two is acknowledge something you heard that maybe you just kind of got a new perspective on, a new insight, a new aha. And one of the things that Martin mentioned, and it was a little bit in passing, he was talking about how often people don't give themselves recognition. They look for approval and appreciation from the outside. They're so dependent and very fearful of judgment. That's one of the biggest challenges that we have as human beings is learning to love ourselves and recognize ourselves. So, wow, what a difference that could make in our lives if we took the time to do that. So that's step two, is to acknowledge something you heard that really is important. And that self-recognition, that self-love is a big deal. Step three, appreciate the difference it can make in your life. I mean, imagine feeling completely whole, feeling completely there and present and grounded and centered and in complete collaboration with the divine. You exactly as you are, with all your faults, all your foibles, all your hot buttons, all your skills, talents, and abilities, exactly who you are. No mistakes, No apologies. Who you are is brilliant and exactly what is needed in this moment. Just that feeling of total inner confidence and calm. And imagine being able to show up like that every day in every situation, because you are so complete with self-recognition and self-approval and self-love. You don't have to worry about external judgment, and you aren't desperate for validation. Sure, having somebody say thank you and all that is really nice, right? But you don't have to have it, because you're able to look inside and notice who you are. Okay, so step 1 is gratitude. Step 2 is acknowledge something important. Step 3 is appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Step 4 is to activate it. And there's 2 different ways we activate. One way is to pull out your calendar and actually schedule time on your calendar to get something done. This one needs the other way. The second way to activate abundance is to come up with a trigger. Now, I generally like to pull on my earlobe as my trigger, but you could pinch a couple of fingers together, whatever it is that creates an anchor or a trigger, a reminder for you, so that every single time you go into a conversation or you're about to have a conversation with somebody, you put those 2 fingers together and it's a reminder, you know what? I am whole and complete in who I am. And I value who I am and who I'm being in the moment. You are that self-love and that self-respect. And I got to tell you, the easiest way to do that, be grateful for the moment that you're in, acknowledge how you're showing up, what you're practicing, and appreciate the progress that you're making. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be progress, okay? So that is one of the fastest ways that you can activate abundance around self-love and self-approval. And step 5, celebrate your progress. This is what it looks like when it's working. How brilliant that Martin brought you this gift of self-love today. How can it get even better than this, right? This is Elaine Starling. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you for the next abundance journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.